EFC78JU said Huddersfield have announced the signing of New Zealand hooker Danny Levy on a 2-year deal from Brisbane Broncos, while at Australia he made 112 appearances for NRL clubs since making his Newcastle Knights debut, and then went on to move and play for the Manly Eagles, and his last club was the current NRL club. Ian Watson has said about the signing, Danny is electric and he's really quick. I don't know anything about this guy, to be honest. I mean, I don't watch NRL very much, Mark, but he's clearly on the fringe of first team if he's only got 112 appearances over 6-7 years. Have you seen him play?
Yeah, I'd say I think he had a couple of years where he was pretty hampered by injury at the back end of his Knights spell, but I would say he's the kind of player that if he has got the attitude right, if he's coming to Super League with a Joey Lussick, Jackson Hastings type attitude, then he could do really well and be a real positive for Huddersfield. And I think he's a very different type to any other business that's there already. So splitting time between those two gives you a really good balance at that position, I think, for Huddersfield. Potentially, like I say, with all these overseas signings, it depends on attitude and application, but and I'm not confident on that because I don't know that much about him in that regard. But if he comes with the right attitude, then he's going to be good.
Very good.
Hull FC have signed hooker Joe, I don't know how to pronounce this, Joe Lovodua or Lovodua. What we going? We'll figure it out by next year. Joe Lovodua from NRL side South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Gooks will tell us eventually how you pronounce it.
Yeah, she'll just call him Joe. Joe. On a 1-year deal for the 2022 season. The 23-year-old is yet to make his NRL bow for the Bunnies. That's one of the reasons why we don't know how to pronounce it, but has been a regular in their reserve grade New South Wales Cup team, scoring 2 tries in 11 games. Fiji international Lovo Dewar joined the Rabbitohs from St George for the 2021 season. So, more options there. Backing up Houghton, you'd think. It'd be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, and in more Hull news, ex-Saints forward Andre Savelio has signed a new 2-year deal to remain with the Super League club till the end of the 2023 season. The 26-year-old guy, he's getting on there, joined the Black and Whites on a 3-year deal in 2019, having joined the club from Brisbane.
Castleford have reunited Andy Last with his old Hull FC boss Lee Radford. The 40-year-old Last has left his role as assistant coach at Wakefield to take up a similar role at the Jungle, where Radford has succeeded Darryl Powell as head coach. Last was right-hand man to Radford as the Black and Whites when they won the Challenge Cup at Wembley in 2016 and 17, and he succeeded him, of course, after the infamous TV sacking. He succeeded him as interim head coach for the second half of last year before making a way for Brett the Emperor Hodgson. So, Andy Last. This is another one of those worst kept secret type scenarios, isn't it? It was almost announced as soon as Radford was announced, but only through back channels, but we knew this was happening.
Yep, indeed. The Rugby League world is a little bit of a sieve with these sorts of things. Castleford coach Lee Radford is happy to see 2 bright prospects sign new deals with the club. Prop Sam Hall, 19, has signed a 1-year contract extension with the club. He made his first team debut last year and has played 3 games for the first team in 2021. And prop Brad Martin, 20, has agreed a new 1-year deal with the Tigers. He made his debut in 2020 and went on to make 9 appearances this season.
Former Bradford coach Francis Cummins is back in Rugby League after being appointed as assistant to new Wakefield boss Willie Poaching. Cummins, who's 44, was in charge of the Bulls from 2012 to 2014, so overseeing their relegation, but kind of wasn't his fault.
No.
And had a brief spell at Widnes in 2018. That was his fault. Worked alongside Poaching at Leeds after bringing his distinguished playing career after bringing his distinguished playing career at Headingley to a halt in 2005. Willie Poaching has also promoted Mark Applegarth from his head of youth role to that of assistant coach. So obviously they've filled the gap vacated by Andy Last.
Indeed.
Francis Cummins being back in the game, do you think so? It's good that he's got him. He's had a long spell out, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, and the game's moved on. Some would say not in great ways. It's become a far more defensive, fitness-based game in the last 3-4 years than when Cummings was last in it. He was pretty. He seemed to me, anyway, to be pretty undistinguished as a coach. He obviously knows poaching well. Poaching's obviously got a clear view that is going to help him. I mean, only time will tell whether that pays off for Wakefield.
I think Cummings was dealt a pretty shitty hand in the 2 head coaching jobs that he had.
Yeah.
I think that Bulls side were relegated because of financial situations. Really, I actually think he got them playing reasonably well, and you see some of the young players that he had kind of at the club at that time and how they've managed to be successful elsewhere in Super League and beyond. So I think I think it's worth a chance back in the top back in a top club. So see how he gets on.
We will. In other Wakefield news, Joe Arundel has left the club on the expiry of his contract. The 30-year-old central back rower has made more than 100 appearances for Wakefield since initially arriving on loan from Hull in 2015. Arundel, who won 1 cap for the England Knights in 2011, came through the ranks at Castleford before enjoying 3 seasons with Hull prior to his move to Trinity.
It just has all the whiff of next stop Featherstone, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Or York, maybe.
Yeah, it does.
Featherstone or York. Scotland international Sam Luckley has signed a 1-year contract extension with Salford. The 25-year-old forward arrived at the Red Devils ahead of this season after spending 5 seasons with Newcastle Thunder. He made 10 appearances in Super League for Salford. I would say that if they keep him around long enough, he'll look even more like Gil Dudson, so maybe he might play like him. Sorry.
Could do worse. Go on.
Yeah, a few other lines on Super League news from today, actually. Back rower George Lawler, it's been confirmed, will swap Hull KR for Cass on a 2-year deal from 2022. 26-year-old scored 12 tries and 103 appearances for the Robins since his 2015 debut, having come through the then joint City of Hull Academy. I think that's a decent signing, and that's a workhorse that Radford's got himself there in that pack to replace maybe some of the departing players that they've lost there. So I think that's a solid signing.
Good.
Tonga international back rower Manu Mao has signed a 1-year contract extension at Hull FC. The 33-year-old has been at Hull for 2 seasons, playing 33 games, but was unable to help the club reach the Super League playoffs this year. Mao moved to Super League after a 115 game stint in the NRL with Parramatta Eels. I think he's underwhelmed this season, so I think he needs to up his game a bit next year, personally.
And time will tell whether he does.
And Warrington Wolves have signed Wigan Warriors prop Joe Bullock on a 3-year deal. The 28-year-old has spent the past 3 seasons with the Warriors after joining from Barrow Raiders. I think we've talked about that one already this year as well as being on the cards.
Yeah. He's all right, Joe Bullock.
Someone needs to get hold of his conditioning, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think if he could improve further, I think he's got an opportunity. But anyway, Bradford have signed former Warrington halfback Dec Patton from Salford on a 1-year deal. Patton, 26, played more than 100 games for the Wolves, including the 2016 Super League Grand Final, before joining the Red Devils for the 2021 season. In 2018, he won 2 caps for England Knights, but has found games hard to come by at the AJ Bell. And it's someone I when he first made his debut, you thought, here's a very sparky young fellow, but he's never quite built on that promise, has he?
No, it sounds like another halfback that they have at Bradford Bulls, doesn't it?
Indeed.
We'll see if he can rebuild his career, though. But signing a grand final try scorer, that's no mean feat, I don't think.
Indeed.
Bradford have also signed prop Jordan Baldwinson from Championship rivals York on a 2-year deal. The 26-year-old is back at the Bulls for a 3rd spell, having spent time on loan with the club in both 2014 and 2021.
And Bradford have been busy. They've signed 22-year-old forward Sami Kibula from Warrington on a one-year deal. Kibula came through the Wigan Academy system and joined Warrington in 2020.
Yeah, he needs to find a new focus, and hopefully he does in the Championship, because he could be special if he put the work in, I think. Whitehaven's overseas duo Ryan King and Nikhil Williams have penned new deals for 2022. King, 24, was named in Italy's train-on squad for the subsequently postponed 2021 World Cup. Both he and scrum half Williams were crucial parts of Charlton's squad that reached the Championship playoffs, winning 11 of their last 13 games. And
Championship side York have snapped up halfback Jamie Ellis from Leigh for the 2022 season. The 31-year-old, God, I can't believe he's 31, has scored 76 tries in 180 career appearances for St Helens Hall, Castleford, Huddersfield, Hull KR and Leigh. Ellis has joined the Knights on a one-year deal after previously spending time on loan with the club last season.
That's going to be one of them, and that'll need 3 turns of the ticker for all the clubs that he's played for when he retires and gets his little VT on the Super League Awards. Jamaica international Joel Farrell has signed a new 2-year deal with Championship club Sheffield. The 27-year-old forward arrived at the Eagles from fellow Championship side Batley in 2019. He has won 6 caps for Jamaica since making his international debut in 2019.
Rochdale have announced the former Man of Steel Rangi Chase has re-signed with the club for 2022. Rangi Chase, 35 now, made the mid-season switch to Hornets during the 2021 season.
And finally, Bradford have been sanctioned by the Rugby Football League after a section of fans directed homophobic abuse towards referee James Child. The RFL launched an investigation following complaints of homophobic comments aimed at Child during the Bulls home game against Newcastle Thunder in June, and that stewards had failed to take action. A statement said the investigation was satisfied that Bradford were unaware of the comments, and the club have accepted that match stewards should have heard the remarks and intervened. In reaching an agreed decision, the RFL, the club accepts that the language which was heard at the fixture in question was offensive and homophobic and has no place in the sport of rugby league. The club have committed to spending a minimum of £3,000 to promote inclusivity and diversity celebration home fixture in 2022 in lieu of a fine, as a more progressive and positive intervention, with an additional £1,000 fine suspended until the end of the 2022 Championship season. The RFL says Bradford have already taken action to improve education and awareness of stewards, staff and fans, and have agreed to ensure that the governing body's Tackle It campaign is given greater focus at the club. Dr. Rimla Akhtar OBE, chair of the RFL Inclusion Board, said, "This is a positive outcome to an unacceptable incident. It is important that the sport shows this behaviour will not be tolerated, and on behalf of the Inclusion Board and the RFL Board, I congratulate the Bradford Club for their response." So I suppose when people fuck up, we want to see them taking positive action, and the RFL and the Inclusion Board seem to be confident that Bradford are taking positive action. So we have to commend them for that after letting something happen that shouldn't have happened.
We'll have to send James Childs to do another game there next year and see what happens.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's worrying, isn't it, that this stuff is happening, and certainly around like inactivity of stewards is concerning. There's been some serious allegations levelled about the behaviour of Featherstone supporters at their game on Saturday, and I've read comments that suggest the stewards ignored some behaviours there, which I think the allegation is around kind of sexual abuse, or certainly threatening behaviour towards some female spectators. So that's a concern.
It is. It very much is.
So we'll see what approach is taken there. And we haven't even talked about the referee society in Huddersfield pulling the young refs out because of abuse that they're receiving, which is frankly fucking ludicrous.
Yeah, that's a disgrace.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone for their views on the news this week. Shout out to the BBC Sport Rugby League page, totalrl.com, loverugbyleague.com for providing the news stories for us to comment on. It's their reporting and our opinions. Okay, that's it for the news. We're going to move into match reviews.